Yeah, it's like I talk about that Tailwind feeling, but everyone knows what that feeling is, at least has felt it one time or another, but it's that listening to your heart, follow your passions. And I think a lot of people don't, for whatever reason, follow or have the opportunity to follow kind of some dreams or passions or what they feel called to do, because I think it'd be a beautiful thing if more people would. I feel like I always planned out my life in these 4-year phases. You know, it was even 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, and then 4 years of triathlon, and then 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency.
He's got this van.
Some guy in a van.
He's in his van, of course.
The van was fun. The van was a big part of Mike's life.
Talk about living like a atypical lifestyle the whole time.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael Arishita, and this is the Ultimate Triathlon Mobile.
During COVID, I bought a massive cargo van, and
I remember telling my parents,
oh yeah, so I'm gonna buy this van, build out a van, live out of this thing, travel around to training camps and races, and just live out of it. It'd be awesome.
He voiced like, I'm gonna build a van and I'm gonna live in a van. And I was like, do you know anything about electrical work or plumbing?
No, but I know that I can figure out how to do all of this. And it was, I think, that mindset that I've always kind of maintained in kind of everything of like, no, I have no idea how to do this, but I know that I can figure out how to do this.
I had heard of Mike before I met him. And how I heard of him was I heard some guy in a van was parked on the side of Lake Mary Road giving away free coffee.
It was the van, but when like he would give coffee to people, we'd put like this little like poster up, and it was like Mike's Milk and Beans. There was like a coffee bean with a smile on it, like a big thumbs up.
I mean, it was a fun way for him to meet people in the community, and it got around pretty quickly where people would be like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, he's the coffee guy. He's Mike's Milk and Beans.
It was so cool. It was just so cool. Like everyone at that time really wanted to have like a cool van sort of deal, but I was just like, you know, Mike's my hero and he's got this van. Like I want to have a van. I want to flip out my like sedan, my 2010 Cobalt. Like can I turn that into like a van life deal? Yeah, the van was all just the fruits of his labor. He knew exactly the way that he wanted it down to the electrical. This physical thing of just like his labor, his efforts, what he believed in, how he wanted to live.
Every little piece of it was like so thought out, and I mean that kind of explains Mike's personality. He finds something and he's gonna figure out a way to make it work.
I think ever since I was a kid, when you're in first grade and you're saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a doctor. And then I think I don't know, never stopped having that as the plan. I went to a pre-med high school. I was pre-med in college. I always had this long plan, the whole timeline written out, and it was take the MCAT in 2023, apply in the summer, start in 2024. It was always, you know, that next step.
I mean, Mike and I just moved to Flagstaff, and it was Mike's first time seeing real snow.
Snowiest season.
The roads up north are not good.
140.1 inches.
Record-breaking snowstorm.
He was living in his van. He was living in a few different parking lots.
All right, we still super stuck, so gonna do something else here.
He got snowed in and he thought, you know, I'm gonna test myself and, you know, try to take the MCAT.
So I finished the 2022 triathlon season, and then it's like, all right, time to start studying for the MCAT. And like I gave myself 6 weeks, which was definitely probably should have had more time.
He's like, I'm gonna take, I don't know, a couple weeks to study for the MCAT, which is absurd if you ask anybody who actually has studied for the MCAT.
I was in the last semester of my MBA, I was running the coaching company, I was getting ready for Super League Montreal, and I was studying for the MCAT like 45 hours a week. The MCAT was definitely something that was on the back of my mind for pretty much my whole life, and worked plenty hard preparing for it. And I remember like night before the MCAT, writing like, you know, big day tomorrow, let's do this, and then getting ready to go to bed, and then kind of going back in like, you know what, there's more. And I like wrote again, like the same entry, the same date. And then I remember saying, I'll never forget, like I remember saying, I hope I do well at this. But more than that, I hope that if I do well at this, I'm actually like happy with it. And I think even then I knew like my heart's not in it, you know, there's something here missing, because that's like a wild thing to say. And then, you know, fast forward and I got my score back.
I think he scored in the 97th percentile.
The 97th percentile.
Yeah, not bad.
This is insane.
I did well. I did very well on the MCAT. Like I was very, I remember being very, I was upset. Like I was so, like genuinely angry at myself. I was frustrated, and I was like, this is so wrong. Like I should, you know, and then it was exactly what I had said. I remember like telling people like, you should be happy, you should be happy. I was like, I know I should be happy, but that's the problem is I'm not. Like I'm not just not happy, but I'm actually like, I'm like angry with myself. And then getting my score back then, I'll never forget just having that. What is my feeling right now? I don't know. I was talking about Tailwind. I'm talking about, like, I felt like this wind was pushing me in different ways the whole time, my whole life, like not doing business school and doing triathlon, all these different moments in my life. And I felt like in that like defining moment was when I kind of told myself, like, I'm not gonna go down the path that I feel like I should do, and really just like listen to that tailwind, like follow your heart. And I think that was like the single most defining moment in my life. I remember watching the sunset on Snowball saying, all right, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna apply to medical school, and then I'm gonna do something else. And then it's, well, what are you gonna do? And again, I'm coming from having 4 years of plans my whole life. I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have no idea, but I'm just gonna make it to tomorrow's sunset. And then if I can look back on the day and know that it was spent with people I love, doing something I love, and working towards something bigger, then I'll call it a good day. And I remember thinking, like, if you can piece together enough sunsets like that, then you're gonna have something pretty special. I was sponsored by one of the big brands and just had gels filled to the brim all the time, and training some of those beautiful places in the world, and there would be like gel wrappers on the ground, and you're like on the trails, like, this is wrong. And kind of someone else acknowledging how like incongruent the van life was with like all these gel wrappers all the time. And at the time I remember thinking, like, that's just how sports nutrition is. Like, gels are synonymous with sports nutrition. And it never, like, I never even like thought that thought again until what, 4 years later. And I felt like, man, that's a problem that I didn't even realize was a problem. So it was kind of like, let's kind of play around with that. So it kind of started with the question of, how do you eradicate the need for single-use gels in sports nutrition?
Everyone's usually pretty familiar with the idea of loading carbs. The way that we do that when we're running or cycling, rather than always having like a water bottle on us, which is kind of hard to carry around all the time, people will carry a gel. It's in that gel form just because of how concentrated it is. So it's an easy way to take the energy that you need to kind of sustain your training, to keep you feeling strong in a race. The biggest issue with the single-use plastic waste that's been so hand-in-hand with gels in the industry is that it contributes to the litter that we're seeing on the trails that end up in our ecosystems that we're supposed to be good stewards of for so long. Pretty much since the inception of gels, they've been put in a plastic container. It's something that's just become so, you just see it, you know what I mean? It's something that is become a little bit too normal, you know? So it's like the companies are passing off this responsibility on keeping our spaces clean by saying, this is your job to keep better track of the stuff that we have, rather than, can we create a better solution?
And then I was asking, well, what would the perfect gel, what's the best possible gel? What's the best performance product you could make? And it kind of came down to this answer of, well, it's gonna be different for different people. Like, my perfect gel, my perfect sports drink is gonna be different than yours or yours or yours. So it's like, well, there is no perfect sports drink, there is no perfect gel, because it's gonna be based around the individual. So then it came this question of, well, can you create the perfect gel for every individual? Can you create the perfect products for every individual? And I'm like, well, that sounds expensive. Like, can you build something that is customizable, affordable, and also sustainable? And it was like this big kind of 3 questions that I feel like I spent the next 9 months gradually working around all these questions. And then it came down to, what about a powder-based gel? And I had all of the biochemistry from the MCAT. So it was like, compared to that, oh, this seems easy. And then the last step was doing like flavor profiling. And I was like, also it has to taste good, because I hate sports drink that tastes bad. Well, we had a bad lemon lime and a bad pineapple. It was like, oh, these flavors suck. Honestly, I was like, this is not viable. Like, you can have all the other sides of the business viable, but if the flavors suck, no one's gonna want it. And it was, I remember having this kind of idea of, this memory of like being a kid, going to a snow cone shop and just seeing like 20 flavors, you know, like, oh, I want to get blue raspberry and tiger's blood and pineapple all mixed together, you know what I mean? But I always loved blue raspberry, and I remember thinking, like, no one's ever done a blue raspberry sports drink. Well, what about that?
It's in the name, right? Blank sports nutrition. Fill in your name. Got a blank space, fill it in. This is now my nutrition. And it's doing something that no other brand had done yet.
He was trying to make a fully customizable product, one that's super affordable and cuts down on waste in the environment. And
that's what we do. We are Blank Sports Nutrition, and we're a sports nutrition company. Lab 1.
Yeah, Lab 1.
When Lab 1 comes to mind, I was like no structure.
It was like Mike, Will Warren, and Harvey over at our friend's house, and we would have like 4 orders a week or something like that.
And I remember the first shift, we maybe had like 4 orders, and that was like for the whole week. The absolute best memories I ever have from Blanks was when we got the Blanks credit card for the first time. The first thing we bought was the basketball hoop. We set it up in the cul-de-sac, and Harvey would always be like, oh, we gotta get to work, like we need orders and stuff. And Mike and I'd be like, we'll play you for it, and like, we'll play you for work. And then we'd always play 21 for like 2 hours before we actually start cooking.
Air ball.
Those were like the best days.
So we're just balling every day for like 2-3 hours, like, because we don't have enough work. And so we're just like, well, what else do you do if you don't have work? You ball, you know, ball is life, baby.
For Harvey and I, we would get all the orders we needed to get done in a day in maybe like 90 minutes or 2 hours. And then we had our first day that we were like, oh, we got to do an 8-hour day. Ooh, this is getting serious kind of a thing. It was right after the holidays, and that was the first time that we actually had to break for lunch. I don't know, there's something really special about that memory. I think for me, it was that understanding that things are about to like get really serious, you know? And just enjoying that last little bit of it being, having fun, making bags.
I don't think like opportunities like this come along very often for very many people. I think being able to like work with some of your best friends and being able to build something that like I think is a benefit to the sports community, to like, if I had blanks when I was, you know, running competitively, like I just like think like sky's the limit. Like, I don't know, it's just, it feels like building something is worthwhile in a way that, you know, other opportunities aren't necessarily.
Part of the enjoyment of the van was to be able to pursue things freely, to like be exactly that, the traveling nomad that follows wherever the wind goes, and being able to see and do things and have this time to himself and not be like rooted or grounded to anything, but like as the wind moves and flows, that's how he like valued living life. But with Blanks, it became pretty evident that he's like, this is gonna be the change in my life that kind of grounds me.
And I always kind of thought, well, I'm gonna go all in on Blanks, because if this thing fails, that's fine. I'll just go live in my van again. That's not a bad setup. But I think it was when Blanks really started to get like real traction. One, I mean, we needed capital to continue to fund the company, but I think more than that, it's like me letting go of this old phase of my life for the next phase of my life. No, I think honestly, one of the hardest days of Blanks was when I sold the van. Over 2 years later, it was like 2023 to 2025 Oceanside. It was really special because it was like I raced, I had a Blanks kit and everything, and I'm on the bike and I'm seeing people with Blanks bottles. Like, this is crazy. It's the first time we had really kind of seen like, oh my gosh, there's people using Blanks in their races, and then on the run, I can see people with Blanks gels. Like, whoa. But I think more than that, I'm on the run course and people are seeing my Blanks kit, like, oh my gosh, go Blanks, go Blanks! They're going ballistic. Like, they don't even know me. They're not going like, oh, go Mike, oh yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, Blanks, go Blanks! And they're going ballistic. I think it was that moment of, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than carbs and salts. Like, we're really doing something. And you can see it. Like, it's different when you, I don't know, you're back at the lab filling orders and whatnot, making product and everything, but you actually like see the people like in sport, the passion behind it all and just the joy. It was different than they're like, they're not like saying, oh, I love your gels. It's like, I love what you're doing. And I remember like later that evening, but you know, seeing a bunch of other friends, we all went out to dinner and we're at this like rooftop bar in Oceanside, and I can see like off in the distance the sunset, and I was like, dude, I gotta go, man. And everyone, like, the waitress is coming by taking everyone's orders, and then everyone like orders food, and I'm the last. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna leave. I was like, I'm leaving, and then they're like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And then I just like left, and then Will Warren was with us too.
Mike and I just kind of like looked at each other and we were like, dude, we can't miss the sunset. Like, we have to go see it. And so like, we just like dipped like right out like the back door, and we sprinted down these stairs, and like we were running through the streets, like running through traffic, like trying to get down to the beach. And we were just like looking at each other, we were like, yeah, like never miss the sunset.
It was like in that moment when I realized like this is what I was feeling way back when I had no idea what life was gonna look like, that was one of the coolest moments of blanks. I feel like that's when it hit that this is real, and not only is this real, this is the answer to the questions you had like forever, you know?
I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or the next day or the next week, but if we stack enough sunsets, then it's like we will get to the place we need to get to.
I do think they're related, this feeling of like talking about Tailwind, talking about never miss a sunset. I think it's like taking small bits of the next step. It's not this overwhelming, blanks needs to be this huge thing or life needs to be this huge thing. It's just take it a day at a time. Just kind of stay grounded to that feeling. And then if each day is contributing towards those things, you know, spending the day with people you love, doing something you love, working towards something bigger. I mean, that's been the plan since, you know, years ago, and now it's still the same plan. Yeah, that's Tailwind.
I would hope that Michael's purpose is to actively be who he was created to be and simultaneously be constantly striving and learning and growing to become an even better version of himself than he was the day before. But I think that's the same for what I would hope is everyone. Like your purpose, I don't think is intentionally tied to a career or a people group or even like a skill set, but I think it's like in the place that you are in this season. The purpose of blanks and Michael's purpose like are very intertwined. So like when you zoom in, I think like his relationship with the people that work at blanks is really special and unique. I mean, I think the fact that like after work, he still wants to hang out with these people and they want to hang out with him speaks to the fact that like this is a company that people want to work for, want to be a part of, even more so like take on part of their identity as. So I think he's living out that purpose by creating community that builds up the individual while also building up the community.
When I look at Mike, his vision of blanks is more of like, I want to help all these people out. And I want to do it by supporting their dreams. Like, I don't know 99% of them. It's random people from like Australia and California like ordering blanks, and like I want to see them like enjoy this and like use it to like push their dreams.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have dreams. I think everyone has dreams and things that they want to do, but I don't think a lot of people are told that they have the freedom and should have the courage to pursue those. You know, it's just bet on yourself and pursue your passions and live a passionate life.
As a concept in a van that moved to a concept in a garage that moved to bigger and greater ventures over time, and it started with one guy and then it grew to 3, and now it's a team of a dozen plus, and it's just like the cascade snowball effect and the tailwind of that momentum is really cool, and you got to get in while you can.
Fun fact, dude, for my like high school, college essays, one of the essays I wrote was, you know, I'm 17 years old and I'm applying to college, and I was saying, like, the problem's like, what's a problem in the world? And I was saying, I think too many people don't like follow their dreams. And it was like, I was like 17 years old, just be like, man, people follow their dreams. And I'm like, dog, you're 17 years old, you don't know anything. But I remember like even back then, I think I could still see that enough, you know, that people were not following that. And I think like even with this whole documentary, it's like, I think you're doing an awesome job of actually getting, like leaning into this and it not just be like a, check out my story, check out blanks, check out the van. It's like actually like inspiring people to chase that feeling, or like resonating. Like, I know that feeling. I know what you're talking about. I used to call it, listen to my heart, listen to my gut. I used to call it this or whatnot. But I mean, it is what I said. I would hope that people would see this and not think, I want to start a sports nutrition company, but they would see it and resonate with like these concepts, these feelings. And even if they couldn't articulate that, they'd know exactly, like, I know what you're talking about. I know that feeling. I call it this, but I know what that feeling is, and encourage people to like listen to that and give it the space to talk. If you don't listen to your heart, it's going to stop talking to you. And I think that's where I almost got to back in 2023 when I almost went and pursued a different path that my heart wasn't in. It's like my heart's screaming out like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. It's just what you feel like you should be doing. And then, I don't know, it's like I'll never make that mistake again. Oh, dude, you get the Tailwind tattoo flying off it.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, dog. You don't know Tailwind
That's a Tailwind tattoo?
Look at that right there.
That's what There's no way. We would have never gotten footage of that.
How'd you not know that, dog? I got this the day after I had my life-changing decision.
So you decided to not go to med school.
Then the next day I got this Tailwind tattoo. I feel like I totally would have said this. Did I leave this critical piece out of this? Am I talking way too fast or am I talking at an appropriate rate? Get used to it. Honestly, if I'm talking too fast, then keep up. Listen faster. Fine, I'll do it. I'll just build another van. Give me 6 weeks. I built the van in 6 weeks too. You know that? I had a scholarship and everything, and then they ended up giving my scholarship back in cash because they were like, well, we're too close to the program to give it to someone else, and if we don't use it, we're not going to get this number of scholarships next year. So just keep the scholarship and don't tell anyone. So that's what I'm doing, telling everyone. But it's actually the craziest thing. Like I funded my first year of pro triathlon off of the scholarship that I got for business school and then didn't go to business school. So talk about Tailwind, and that was like one of the OG Tailwind moments of, yeah, I should totally go pursue pro triathlon because I'm literally getting paid to not go to business school. And then, so that was kind of a funny story that I've actually never really told. My heart, my heart, it pulls me another way. Oh, what is this? Throwing like leaves and stuff, just like, oh, the north wind guides.